DNVR is a huge supporter of CBD, and as a consumer, you must find the products that work for you. Green Roads hooked us up with some incredible products. I went with the one that has a little, like, what is it, chamomile? Is that what it is? Melatonin?
Chamomile is tea.
Yeah.
Melatonin is what
It makes you go to sleep, right? Yeah, it tastes really great. You have to, like, hold it in your mouth for 30 seconds, though, which is a little weird, but I'll tell you what, it works. And the thing I like about the one from Green Roads is usually I take those things, it makes me exhausted. I wake up feeling all groggy, not with the Green Roads one. I get like great sleep. I wake up early before my alarm and everything. It's fantastic. So check them out. They've got all kinds of different things, not just for sleep. They've got them for wellness, bath bombs, a whole bunch of different things. So you want to check them out. greenroads.com. Pick out your items and enter code DNVR20 for 20% off. Welcome, everybody, to the Losers Lounge, the loserest of Losers Lounge. Maybe the most somber Losers Lounge we've had since the playoffs last year, Game 3, I would say. The Nuggets drop one to the Golden State Warriors. And by one, I mean one of their key players, in addition to just a basketball game. This was a game that was difficult. You know, as a Nuggets fan, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about the game, but it was a blowout. It was kind of a punking, if you will, and that was bad enough. I was dreading this Losers Lounge, but for to see Jamal Murray go down in the final minute of the game is just a sort of, I don't want to say cherry on top. What's the opposite of a cherry on top?
It's a gut punch.
It's a gut punch. It's a nut punch.
Nut punch, gut punch. We're not eating a sundae. We're not topping it.
We're definitely not eating a sundae. We're presented, as always, by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the app onto your phone for free. Use promo code DNVR. How'd we do today with the winners and losers, Dev? Draymond Green hit. Oh. Our set is falling apart. Dude,
everything's a disaster.
Everything.
The vibes are tragic.
The vibes are definitely tragic.
Smug life's over. Nug life is back.
Smug life was here for like 1 week.
Felt good.
But our bets, did we make money? You gave us Draymond Green?
Draymond Green, yeah. Points, rebounds, and assists hit. I don't remember what else I gave.
It's like we forgot.
Because the Nuggets didn't really have anything up on the board. I took the third quarter for the Warriors just because you got to go against the Nuggets in the third quarters until they figure something out. So that was a pretty easy bet. I thought this was a game that the Nuggets would like try to, prove like they have been a really good team. So it was a little bit shocking for them to like not only play bad, but to be embarrassed on national television again.
So I wasn't surprised by the loss tonight. I really wasn't. And it's funny because I put out the tweet that said, this is Denver's 6 games since last Sunday. It's 6 games in 9 nights. The way I know this is we're here for every game. I put my kids to bed 3 times in the last 9 days, which is, usually it's me and my wife. We put our kids to bed at night. So I've hardly done that. Like I've hardly seen them. They got school, this or that. So maybe people at home don't notice it if your entire life, like mine, revolves around the Denver Nuggets schedule. But it felt like a lot emotionally. Eric and I were talking before the game even tipped off about we're just like kind of tired like of being here doing the show and everything as much as we love it. So I wasn't surprised by the performance tonight. In fact, I was, if anything, a little bit concerned about what was going to happen tonight.
Well, I mean, I've always said that the back-to-backs in the NBA is like it's like honestly stealing money from the fan. It's the worst product there is in sports.
Yeah.
The back-to-back in the NBA is such a joke. Like you always see these like ridiculous games that tilt one way or the other. I was hoping the Nuggets would be come into this feeling upset that the way the last game went and sort of be like they were last season where inexplicably they won every second game of the back-to-back, which is not really proving to be the case this year. I don't know. They came out fine, kind of sluggish. It's honestly hard to even talk about this game. I mean, Steph Curry went completely nuclear. This game meant something to him. He was close enough to get the record, the scoring record for the Warriors, and it really propelled him.
Yeah. And
the Nuggets really didn't feel like they had anything to fight for, and they didn't fight.
I was prepared to be the least disappointed person in all of Colorado. Like, I put out the tweet about, I'm not really surprised if this happens on Wednesday. I'll be concerned, but this one I'm just going to chalk it up. And, I had a healthy amount of people in the mention saying, excuses, this, that. And again, it's like, we could play first of all, it's easy. What do I need to make an excuse for? Like, you know what I mean? Like
maybe your appearance or your
I do have a lot of things I should make an excuse for. But when people are throwing this at me, I'm like, guys, It's not like I don't criticize the Nuggets. It's not like I don't do that. This game didn't bother me as much. They looked exhausted in the fourth quarter of the last one, mentally, emotionally. I think, the physical aspect of it was there. I thought the Nuggets were running in cement the entire night. But I think more than anything emotionally, like Jokic has really gone to negative town, and it's been disappointing, slightly understandable, but I think disappointing to just see how much he has been jawing at officials, how much he has allowed distractions to take him out of the game, and tonight was just an extension of a trend we had seen for 5 or 6. But that's why I wasn't surprised. I was like, the Nuggets look mentally fried. But we'll talk about the game, I'm sure, a little bit. There's a few other takeaways, but I guess we have to move on to what's surprisingly became the biggest story, and that is that Jamal Murray went down. It did not look good. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. Sometimes, 1 out of 100 times, you see a guy go down like that, and it ends up not being as bad as you thought. But that one looked really bad.
Yeah, not only did it look bad, but he was you could hear the mic drop where he's screaming, "Oh my God!" That's the only thing that really scares me about the injury, is because we already know he's a warrior type of player who just really wants to be out there and he wants to show his strength off. And for him to be rolling on the ground and also just not able to put any type of pressure whatsoever on it. Despite him trying to be the strong man that he was, he rejected the wheelchair. He tried to bounce around, try to get himself going mentally and whatnot. But that was just sad. It was depressing. Everyone gasped for air. Everyone was just so shocked. And I know that Nuggets Nation is just so shocked about what happened. And hopefully we're giving positive vibes and we're praying for him to just be okay, for it to be a hyperextension or just something that's not that serious.
Yeah. Well, Harrison has joined us. He just got off the horn with Michael Malone.
Yeah.
I'm guessing there's no updates, but what did he have to say?
Yeah, no real update. He's going to get an MRI and just to see what the injury is. Malone said that he hasn't seen a replay of the injury, but talking to some of his assistants, they thought it looked like a hyperextension. Again, we don't know.
A hyperextension would be kind of the best news. I mean,
Joel Embiid
had a hyperextension. He missed several weeks, and Joel Embiid, a big guy, but came back. I mean, a hyperextension, again, I don't know the exact time frame on it, but he would be back by the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure. Again, don't quote me on this. I'm not a doctor, but I think he would be back by the playoffs.
It would be best case scenario.
It would be by far the best case scenario.
Yeah. He was asked about, Jamal had missed 4 games with right knee soreness, and if there was any minute restriction or if Malone felt like that injury played a role in this. This is another thing where a head coach has to answer as if he's a medical expert.
Yeah, of course,
and stuff.
yeah.
But Malone said there was no minute restriction, and just in conversations with Denver's training staff, they didn't say he needed a minute restriction or anything. It was different, he said, than Monte coming back from a soft tissue injury. This is what Malone said. This was just knee soreness. Malone said he just thought it was a freak accident, and obviously he'll be keeping Jamal and his family in his thoughts and prayers. He didn't have any thoughts on the game, obviously. I mean,
so one thing we're not going to do today on this show, and you guys can vent your frustration amongst each other if you want, although be respectful in the comments, guys. But one thing we're not going to do is sit here and play the blame game. I think Michael Malone clearly, I'm sure, feeling horrible for this. And anytime a player gets hurt, why was he in the game? The game was out of hand, this or that. But truth of the matter is, I think he made a very difficult move, a hard plant, and it could be a million different things that happened that had him cause that one. So you can play that game amongst yourselves, but we won't play it here.
Just even with that, it really was not an out of the game. It was a 4-point game when it happened. Also, he's taken some time away to get strong, and he's been wanting to play the entire time. So I mean, that's a basketball play, and it just so happened that it did not go right. And then also, it was the opposite knee, just to let it be known out there. It was the opposite knee. You could overcompensate for that if you had any other type of injury, but that's just you making a move, and it just didn't go right this time.
Yeah. You're pretty speechless,
dude. I'm down bad right now. The game itself was really underwhelming and just made you feel what are we doing? Do the Nuggets have the resolve that it makes you ask silly questions that shouldn't be asked, but then for that to happen so close to the end of the season, It just feels like familiar territory in the worst way, and I don't know. I mean, I hope that obviously it's just a hyperextension. Jamal's able to come back. We can all laugh about this later, but I don't know. It just feels oddly familiar.
One of the things that you feel right now is the bar is now closed. It was pretty empty at the final minutes of the game. Like usually we're doing this, there's like some kind of energy right now. It's like there is zero energy amongst us. There's zero energy. It feels so ominous.
I was just gonna say ominous.
Yeah.
It feels very ominous. Like we don't know what the next couple months hold now.
Yeah.
We really don't. We won't know until we find out what the injury is.
I mean, this is, if the last year has taught us anything, it's the impermanence of life, just the
Sure.
just the uncertainty. You really just don't know what's going to happen any given day. So perhaps we shouldn't be surprised, but something like this happens, and I mean, obviously you're not ready for it, but man, it just, I don't know.
The thing that's also a drag, the Nuggets were on an 8-game winning streak, and they lost the game. They had a really bad fourth quarter against Boston last night, and you saw a bit of a meltdown amongst, the diehards, and we talked about this, as is to be expected. But it's one of those things that's like, this is the perspective you have to hold. It's a long season. We've been talking all this time about Anthony Davis, LeBron James. They've been out if they get back and they get healthy and stuff. But the truth is, like, 60% of the battle this year was always about getting across the finish line with your main guys. And Denver had done a good job of that for so much of the season, and then all of a sudden just tragedy struck. Another thing that really, as I'm sitting here preparing for the show before we went live, I'm thinking, what did we get, 100 minutes of Gordon with the Fab Five, the five-man lineup? We got about
90 plus whatever they played tonight.
So it was probably, we probably got about 107 minutes, which is just like, you got to be kidding me. It almost reminds me of, you remember 3 years ago when Barton joined and I kept talking about Barton's going to be great, and he played the first, was it game?
Right.
Or game and a half and went down?
Yeah, it was
like,
the first game, right.
Oh, it was the first game, and you're like, you got to be kidding me. I've been looking forward to this lineup all summer. We get it, so it's gone. So it's a real it's a real buzzkill. I mean, is there, I guess we'll have plenty of time to turn our attention towards, what can the Nuggets do without Murray, but is there anything else from this game that you feel, just from takeaways from the game? Like, did you feel when you were watching it like this was a big deal? Not the injury, but the game, Dev?
Not so much. We've already known how the Nuggets play on these nationally televised games, and it was also a game that the Warriors seemed to be really, really up for. That's not the Warriors team that we've seen this year. Like they haven't been that. Draymond Green came out with like an extra pep in his step. He's playing extremely hard and making plays happen. Kent Bazemore was making some huge plays on both ends of the floor, and then Steph Curry had more to play for. He was knocking every single thing down. He went for the Wilt Chamberlain record, and then when you already got yourself going and you're in a flow, there's nobody in the NBA that could get himself going the way that Curry does. So it was just the wrong night for the Nuggets to be on the opposite end of a Curry explosion, and then. Also, the Warriors just made everything. That was really like a game that they made it a point to try to go at the Nuggets. And like what you said earlier with Jokic, I think that is just so many things compiled on top of each other that has him so frustrated. The fouls, the playing so many minutes, the not getting the respect that he deserves with the MVP race, maybe even just being overwhelmed with the MVP race. He's never been in this situation where he's having a conversation and they're talking about him every single night, and he doesn't want that attention. He really doesn't. And he spoke about that with the Serbian interview last night. So I just think that it's a lot going on at one time, and it's just he's just let's just play basketball.
And yet I feel like this is still another lesson that he has to learn. And some of this is cultural. I mean, let's be honest. America is, the U.S., we are all about marketing. I mean, I've been abroad enough times and had enough people from abroad come and visit me that it's like, you don't realize it till you get to America where you're like, so much is commercialism and the story and pump this out. And I think, I'm not trying to say put a value on those things, but it is different. But one thing I'll say is, that is part of the price a superstar pays. He's getting paid $50 million. I don't even remember what it is, but it's an obscene amount of money.
Right.
And you might not like that aspect of this, but that is part of what comes with it and learning how to manage it. I'm not saying you have to lean into it a la a LeBron James, a la some of these guys that really enjoy that limelight, but it is something that you have to say, hey, if I don't get this, I don't get $150 million. That's why all this comes here. And I do think that, Jokic maybe could even handle some of that aspects of it a little bit better.
It is frustrating, but he did score 27 points.
That's because he's great.
I know.
It's because Jokic is incredible.
He didn't have a great game, but he also had a good game. He had a great game by
really strong opening quarter.
Most players' standards. So,
but the frustration
it does. It feels different. It really does feel different. The last few. I mean, he's pressing. He's missing shots he wouldn't normally miss. He picked up a lot of those points like down the stretch when it was kind of out of hand and meaningless. The Nugget, tweeted earlier on, the Nuggets, it's the Sluggets, man. They just felt sluggish all night. They just couldn't get it going. Everything. I mean, I also was saying it was just such a joyless expression of basketball early on. It just felt like
it was joyless.
It felt like
it was very joyless.
It was big Monday vibes. And I wish we could talk about that. I wish we could talk about the Nuggets just not really showing up tonight and
total Monday vibes. Yeah, very relatable when you put it that way.
Yeah, but I don't even know how you talk about the game at this point.
Well, I will say Steph Curry. One of the things I'm talking about, I do feel like the great basketball stars of the NBA have all had an understanding of big moments. Kobe Bryant scores 60 on his final game. And it was just kind of of course he did. Yeah. Of course it was his curtain call, and he was going to go up and drop, not 50, 60. And Steph tonight passed Wilt Chamberlain on the all-time scoring list for the Warriors, and part of me thinks, that's what great players do. They understand that, yes, it's all about winning. At the end of the day, it's all about winning. But there's the secondary thing that's what is this ecosystem that we're a part of? And there are moments that are special. Let's make them special. It's my responsibility for these nights to be special. And he went out there and was special tonight, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah. Let's take our first break. On the other side, I do want to talk about, I know it's weird to talk about, but I do want to talk about one big Nuggets question, which is, do the Nuggets now have they upgraded with Aaron Gordon on the wing? Kawhi Leonard, Ben Simmons, they had some great defensive performances, but have they gotten a lot weaker and more vulnerable to teams like Golden State, Portland, Utah, maybe even Phoenix, who have dynamic guards? I want to talk about that on the other side.
Yeah, guys, make sure to check out the Mile High City Copper Lager from Breck Brew. Can't miss it. It's got that Nuggets Skyline blue can, got the Nuggets logo on it. Great to drink during Nuggets games. Pick it up from the Breck Brew Farmhouse. Pick it up from your local liquor store. Check out the Mile High City Copper Lager. Also, check out Gabby Insurance. Head to Gabby.com, GABI.com/DNVR. Gabby stands for Get a Better Insurance, and that's what they help you do. You pretty much plug in your car, your home insurance to Gabby. They run your numbers against tons of other insurance providers like Progressive, Nationwide, Travelers. They tell you where you can be saving money. So go to GABI.com/DNVR. And Gabby customers save $961 per year on average. They'll also never sell your info, so you won't get any of those annoying robocalls. Gabby.com/DNVR.
Are we good?
We're good.
That was really fast. Everything about this show might be fast tonight. I do want to talk about this, and maybe it becomes a bit of a moot point. Although let me say one thing. There a lot that can be gained from this season with Denver if Murray is out for the season. Michael Porter's still a huge part of it. Aaron Gordon's still a huge part of this team. And do I believe the Nuggets can make a run at an NBA championship if they don't have Jamal Murray? Probably not. Probably don't. I mean, they need their second best player to do that. But can there be a lot of positives that come out of it if you do say, hey, Mike, you wanted it. Here you are. They need you. The team needs you. There is something that could come out of that. The Aaron Gordon moving up to, all of a sudden, let's build the best chemistry. Of course, there's things that can come out of it. That's down the road. But one question about this, and let's just assume Murray back even, or whatever. Denver lost Gary Harris, who had a lot of utility in the playoffs last year against a team like Utah, maybe less so against a team like a wing. He was paid like a star, but he was really like a really great utility defender. Is Denver now vulnerable, in your opinion? Is Steph Curry's 50-piece tonight not an accident, Harrison? Is it maybe a sign of, hey, Denver is weak at the guard defensively?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And there were Curry threes tonight that, like,
PJ Hoops guy.
There were Curry threes tonight that were just, like, absolute breakdowns. Just leaving Steph Curry to go double somebody else or just not even picking Steph Curry up on a rotation. But, I mean, absolutely. You saw it tonight. Facu was by far Denver's best defender on Steph Curry.
Facu
it wasn't even close.
You could tell Facu was doing well because of how much everybody on the Warriors hated him.
Yeah.
That's his job. Like,
right.
His job is to really get under your skin, and he was really under Did he stop Steph? No, but look, man, he frustrated him.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to lie. I was thinking, like, what could Shaq Harrison do against Steph Curry?
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking that tonight.
Right, yeah.
100%. Absolutely, they're vulnerable, or more vulnerable now that they don't have Gary Harris against these guys. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I mean, that was the thought. Like, we're trading essentially guard depth for forward depth.
Right.
And last year, that was one of the comments we were sort of banding about, was like, does this help us to lock down Dame Lillard? Does this help us if Donovan Mitchell is starting to really go off? And Gordon looked like he looks tired. Everybody looks tired. We're
really tired.
We're 0-2 in the Gordon Fro era, so hopefully he takes that into consideration.
Maybe he was too tired to get the hair done. Not tired, but just didn't have time. I mean, think about it. These guys' schedule is pretty full at the moment.
It's true. I mean, I feel sluggish today, and all I did was watch them play yesterday, and also then fly to San Francisco, and but it absolutely. I mean, you always think about locking up LeBron, locking up Kawhi. That's always the conversation. How are you going to match up against these guys? And we did, but we really traded any sort of guard.
It's so hard to be well-rounded, especially in today's NBA.
Is.
Like, just with the way you have to spend money, it's like you're always going to – you fix one thing and you lessen. I think Denver in aggregate became a better team because I think Aaron Gordon – for a Jokic-led team brings a little bit more, but it did create a bit of a weakness perhaps.
And that's what I was going to say with it. I think the idea was just to, how do you stop the best team? Because every single year you want to get better.
Yeah,
every single year you want to progress. And the Lakers are still the Lakers, and the Lakers still have the best player in basketball. And most of the good teams that you have to go through in the West, or the only teams that you feel like on paper that you can't beat, which is the Clippers. Even though you beat them last year, you still want to
beat them with Jeremy Grant.
You want to be able to, you want to be able to match them, and you lose Jeremy Grant. So how do you match that where you could go up against Paul George and Kawhi Leonard? You bring in Aaron Gordon, then you have Aaron Gordon who could be like the Luka stopper or the LeBron stopper, the guy the guys with the big, just a bigger stature, but. Then you leave other holes. It's like whack-a-mole all the time. You fix
Venetian
one hole
blinds,
and there's another one that pops out. But I feel like they feel like if they have Jamal Murray, if they have Jokic, you still have a chance against those teams that have the guards that could go off, because you've seen that you could do it. Donovan Mitchell went off last year, absolutely berserk, and they still figured a way to win those games, but they couldn't figure out a way to beat those teams like LeBron James. So I think that you just want to match what the best is right now, and the best lineup in there is the defending champions, which is LeBron James. So that's what they did with that. You bring in Facu, but it doesn't answer enough.
I know this feels like we're going to see Austin Rivers in a Nuggets uniform, doesn't it?
Oh, man.
Well, he's a better fit now than he was 3 hours ago.
It's not even 3 hours, 1 hour ago. Austin Rivers.
40
My God,
minutes ago.
just you saying that has made this conversation somehow more depressing.
I mean,
this reality.
It's right. It's not the conversation. It's the reality. Yeah, I mean, suddenly we find ourselves in a position where, who are we going to rely on? Facu, PJ Dozier, Monte, I guess. I mean, probably Monte slides into that starting unit, you would expect. Makes it a little more tenuous. Yeah, I don't know.
I think there's lessons to be learned. Obviously, I know there's lessons to be learned through everything in life, and there maybe is one to this one too. And maybe part of that is just not taking things for granted. I did think, as much as there was mental fatigue on the Nuggets' part, I would also say there's maybe just a little bit of that over these last few games. Of be appreciative for the window that you have and the limited amount of time you have to get to the place you're trying to go. Maybe Denver, understandably so, not necessarily there, not necessarily having that over these last few quarters. But, we've talked, I haven't brought this word up for a while, but we've talked about Inat. Everybody's going to count out Denver if Murray's out, and rightfully so. And I just wonder if there's something to, again, maybe Denver doesn't win the championship this year, but maybe there's something to, Zach Lowe had a great thing where he talked about Game 82 against the Timberwolves being the game, the single moment that forged Denver's identity and their resolve. And that carried with them. Maybe there's something to a resolve that can be forged through this experience that then propels them to when they are ready to win a championship. Should that be next year? Or should it be this year? But should it be next year? That carries with them. And maybe just a deeper appreciation for, young players think they're going to live forever. And they think that they're going to get money for forever. They think they're going to do this. And maybe, Jamal Murray's only, 24 years old? But maybe this is one of those things that says, hey, man, it's so hard to do things in life. You just have to you have to have a level of focus that had kind of maybe alluded to you.
It's true. I mean, I just say we have almost 1,000 people watching right now. Like,
man, we love you guys.
We love you guys. This is amazing. Like, this is a big time therapy session. Gordon, he says the vibes are tragic.
They are.
Facts.
But it would be much worse without people like you and to share the burden. Prayers for Jamal.
Do you guys remember what my phrase is, my life motto? Does anybody remember?
Together.
We suffer together. I mean, that's the whole point of sports, to be honest with you.
We suffer together.
You lose almost every season you will ever watch of your favorite team. Almost everyone. Even if you're a Laker fan, you're going to lose almost every single one.
It's so true. Obviously nothing's over, but the timeline feels very dark at the moment.
Yeah.
We'll have to kind of see, take some time to regroup and sort of sleep on this one and see what it looks like. But yeah, man, all we have is us, guys. Let's go.
It's like, this is why we have been saying all season, like, we can't take Nikola Jokic and this season for granted. Right. Because you just never know when it's going to turn. And injuries happen. Injuries are a part of the game, especially in a season like this. Just look at the Warriors' injury history. Like, they're a part of the game. Tim Connelly always says that. He always has a great perspective on these things because it just takes it for what it is. These things happen, and maybe something good does come out of it.
Yeah.
That's the hope, at least.
Let's take our last break. On the other side, let's try to have a little bit of positivity. Let's try to look at what are some things, some positives that could come out of it, especially in the near term. And again, let's not talk about it as Murray being out for the year. Let's talk about it as Murray being out for an extended period of time.
Right.
Could be a week. Could be 2. Could be a year. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, guys. Check out Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Right now, go to manscaped.com, use code DNVR, very important, use code DNVR, and get 20% off your order plus free shipping. With a Perfect Package or Performance Package purchase, you get 2 free gifts as well. You get that Shed travel bag, $39 value, and the patented high-performance reduced chafing Manscaped boxers. So 3-for-1 deal right there. Go to manscaped.com, use that code DNVR to get 20% off of your purchase. Also, we've got DraftKings to talk about. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. We are entering the final month of the NBA season, and we're gearing up for the playoffs. While some teams are locks to make the playoffs, others are still fighting for their opportunity to chase the trophy. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, they are putting you in the center of the action with a chance to turn $1 into $100 in free bets. That's right. You can turn $1 into $100. It's that simple. Pick any basketball team to win their next game, and if during the game that team of your choosing hits a 3, you bring home $100 in free bets. So make sure to download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free bets if the basketball team of your choosing hits a 3. That's code DNVR to turn $1 into $100 in free bets for a limited time. only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Also, nobody likes going into the doctor's office, period. Nobody likes going there nowadays. You don't have to with Zoom Care. You can talk to your doctor. You can get a prescription. You can find out what's going on with you from the comfort of your couch. Schedule an appointment now. www.zoomcare.com. ZOOMCARE.com. Talk to your doctor from your couch. It's the best invention ever.
All right, final segment here. One thing I want to say about Jamal, Jokic, my favorite player. I think everybody kind of knows that, not just from the Nuggets this year, but I think of all time. Jamal's really inspiring. Jamal's like an inspiring player. You know what I mean? Like he's a passionate. I think he's a gamer, and an emotional leader of sorts. And I think what he did obviously in the bubble last year was nothing short of inspiring, and a new challenge for him. I always think back. I always reference Kobe on this show, probably because he's just such an interesting character. But him talking about like when he first went down and he walked to the free throw line. When he first tore his Achilles, he said that's when my rehab began. He's like, I had to walk out there, and that was step one of my process. And I hope Murray. I know obviously he's going to have a tough night tonight, but I hope whatever it is that he can channel his inner Kobe, his inner Mamba, and to kind of take that approach. Some positives that come out of here. I can't start with Eric. Let me start with Dev. Give me some positives, or not necessarily positives, but maybe lessons or things that they can use this to grow.
I mean, the team is going to rally like around him. He's their emotional leader. He's also like a player that just like gives his all at all times. Even tonight, takes some time off, gets himself ready, but he's out there itching and fighting, and he wants to get back every single time. Maybe he comes back too early. We don't know, but that's just the type of warrior and player that he is. Like he's a player that has played through sports hernias. He's didn't miss a game. And that's the type of leader that you need, especially with the younger group that doesn't really have much veteran like presence. Like they have Paul Millsap, but he's not a vocal leader. Jamal has become more and more of that, and you can see it starting to rub off on the other type of players. Now you have Jokic, who he will go back to like carrying the load like how he has been. He'll rally behind him. Now you give other people like opportunities, and Michael Porter Jr. and also Monte Morris. That like we're not going to think if this is like season ending or anything like that, but just for the next couple of weeks until he gets back right. Because we know Jamal Murray he's gonna do anything he can to get back into the right phase and just get back to himself. So with that, now that opens the door for everything up. We always talk about it's the next man up, and that's what it has to be. Michael Porter Jr. has to be the guy that they've wanted him to be. This has been the year of Michael Porter Jr., and now he gets the opportunity to prove it for the next couple of weeks. So that's what I think I'm looking most forward to, just to see how they operate and get back to themselves.
Yeah, the Michael Porter Jr. factor is fascinating because it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because he was fitting in so well next to Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic as that third guy, as that Klay Thompson type guy. And now we're going to kind of see what he can do with even more usage, even more of a prominent offensive role. So that's going to be fascinating. The other thing that we probably got to make clear is like the season's not over. The Nuggets are still going to be a very good team. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to slide Monte Morris in there and still be a juggernaut offensively, I think at least. So this isn't like a death sentence for Denver where they're going to lose every game from here on out. Yes, we have championship expectations, and that's why this hurts so badly. But it's not like the Nuggets are going to go winless from here on out.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like Michael Porter Jr. has been he's been operating like dad was out of town, and he could just like take the car and jack up shots, like whatever. It's my team now, and like suddenly he's going to wake up tomorrow and be somebody that is wholly relied upon, right? Like he's going to have to grow up really quickly, and the team is going to be looking to him to fill a role that they weren't before. He was just sort of like candy, like he shoots the three. he gets open, he gets hot. It's Mike time, and it's fun. It makes the whole experience a lot better. But like now, it's like Jokic is going to be looking at him like, "Yo, Mike, like, you know, now it's like, yo, you can't just like heat check. You can't you can't just run around and like play like you're just out there having fun, like." And so we're going to learn. It's gut check time for everybody else that's left. We'll see. Obviously, again, we'll see how long Jamal Murray is out. We don't want to assume that he's gone for the rest of the season or longer. But the Nuggets are at a point. This is a crossroads in the Nuggets season.
Definitely a crossroads. Definitely would call it a crossroads. I think what you're alluding to here is the responsibility of superstardom. Because I think everybody thinks of superstardom and all of the benefits, but there's a cost to it as well. And the cost is, like to your point, when you fail, you let everyone down. When Jokic isn't good, the entire team is let down.
Yep.
When Michael Porter isn't good, maybe you don't notice it. I mean, how many times do we say, Porter wasn't great tonight, but they got the win or this or that? Mm-hmm. Now it's one of those things where it's like, hey, man, it's not just – all those little mistakes now become so much more compounded because you just moved up a whole spot. And there's just such a responsibility that comes with that and ownership that comes with that. But I think when you embrace it, there's also a maturity that comes with that.
The maturation is like we're going to find out a lot about Michael Porter Jr. here in the last part of the season. We're going to find out like how serious he is.
How serious he is a great way to put it.
With his career, like what he wants for himself. Because now, it's not only the opportunity has not just arrived, like it's crashed down on him. Like he can't turn away from it. And so, whether he wants it or not, like it's here. His time has come, and there's not really a reason to think that he won't rise to the occasion either. He's been, surprising us and getting better, and answering the challenges that Malone has given to him, and earning the trust of his teammates. And now it's time to like really lock down and play a different style of basketball that he's been playing over the last, especially the last 2, but even the last 8. Like to be that. To go from the Klay Thompson to the Steph Curry is like a very different role.
I think Aaron Gordon, we could say similar things. Aaron Gordon has sort of, in a good way, slidden into the Jeremy Grant role. And what I mean by that is 5 shots tonight. He had 4 shots 2 times previously. And it's not that those aren't enough for him because I don't think he's a volume shooter or scorer. But I do think that he has talents that were not tapped when the team was fully here, in part because it just, there's certain processes you have to go to fully unlock a guy. But I think that, too, moves up. I mean, Denver has been using him sparingly as the point guard and lead initiator in certain actions, most notably that back screen action that they got so much out of. But now I think they might have to go to him even more and say, hey, it's not that we want you taking shots, but we need you handling the ball a lot more. We need you doing all these different things in a way that could be a positive for him as well. Because I think even in Orlando, he had talents that were untapped because they weren't capable of exploiting them. I think Denver's capable of exploiting them, but maybe didn't necessarily need them or whatever as urgently as they are going to need them now.
This is going to be a moment for Gordon to really like prove his worth more so. Right now, they're using him as a role player that just kind of fills a void because that's exactly what they need. But now when you change over and take away your second best player and first option a lot of the nights when it actually matters, now you have to like show more. You have to like showcase what you did in Orlando. In Orlando, he was a guy that they relied on to be an offensive weapon and to also bring it on defense. And he's shown that he is capable of doing that, but now he has to show it on a contending team or a team that actually like has the chance to get some of that untapped potential. So like that does open up a lot of things for Gordon. Now he's going to be more of an offensive guy. The 5 shots and things like that, he's not going to have to be in that role. Now he has to be within the flow of the offense. So it's good that he's learned the offense. Like he comes into a perfect spot of learning the offense for the first couple of weeks and seeing how things operate to now being a part of the offense and a guy that has to score and has to be in these spots. And I think that he'll welcome that. Like this is an opportunity for him to prove that he can score and he can be a more of an offensive player. But he was a game time player that did exactly what the team needed, and the team's going to need more from him. So does he step up?
Yeah. I think Jokic too has something to be gained from, something to learn from this, and his maturation process has been a 7-year thing, and he's really made incredible strides. I mean, it's been fun watching him sort of grow. There's a whole other level for him now, and a whole other, again, I'm curious. The team has to feel, and I wonder how they feel if they feel like, okay, without Murray we can't win a championship. I think it's hard not to have those thoughts. But at the same time, like, you got to go out there and play, and you got to push yourself to the limit. And we already saw Jokic. Murray wasn't great to start the season, and as a result, Jokic was scoring 30 points, 40 points, and going out and doing that. And I wonder if, there's something to that for Jokic now, a sort of deep breath and I got to go back to being even more than what I thought I was, and push himself there, and maybe unlock something that lingers with him for years to come.
I could see that happening, just because, like, I don't think we've ever thought Nikola and Jamal are like best buds or anything off the court, but those two guys are the faces of the Nuggets franchise. It's like when they do their nationally televised interviews before these games, it's Jokic and Jamal Murray. It's like those two guys sitting side by side. I still remember that ESPN interview from 2019 playoffs where it was just them two.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if Jokic looks at this and says, all right, like, he would have done the same for me if I went down.
Right.
Like, I know that for a fact. I got to do it for him now that he's down.
I mean, if you want to talk about now Jokic having a real opportunity to cement his case as MVP, like, if he can continue to keep this team on the tracks, like this train rolling, like, it's going to be undeniable. And really that's what an MVP should and can and should do is, make sure that the team itself, like, if you lose somebody important, that you can just put more on my shoulders and keep us going forward. Like, and I mean, if you ask me any player in the NBA that I'd want to have to shoulder that burden, like, I mean, it's Nikola Jokic. It's absolutely Nikola Jokic. So, season's not over. This is just, I mean, like, the confluence of events that have led to this moment, like the weather here totally sucks day, super cold, worst game, like awful game last night. This game was complete garbage.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray gets hurt in the last minute to go from like annoying to absolutely tragic. So everything feels like the world is ending at this exact moment in time. I know that we're going to go to bed tonight. Adam apparently with the green roads under his tongue.
I can't wait. You're going to hold it for 30 seconds. Very weird, but worth
chamomile. But we're going to wake up tomorrow.
Have you not tried it?
No. I had a different one. It worked as well. But the sun's going to be shining tomorrow. We're going to still have a team that has 3 really solid players in the starting lineup. We don't know about Jamal. We don't know if he's out. I mean, obviously our minds are going to the darkest places right now because we are conditioned as Nuggets fans to go there. We've seen this happen before. It doesn't mean that's the case. But it feels bad right now, man. It feels really bad right now, but this is promises this is the darkest moment, so we'll see what springs forward.
This is the thing about sports and what makes them so special. They give you the entire gauntlet of emotions. That's right. I said that right?
Yeah, the gauntlet, the gamut. I would say the full gamut of emotions.
Gamut.
The gauntlet is like something. You go through it and it tests you. You're
okay. You get a full testing of your.
But
emotions.
This is the full gamut, like the
full gamut of emotions.
Yeah.
You get the full gamut of emotions. We're getting them all. This one. Sucks. It's not the one we would choose to have all the time, but it is part of the entire package, and we accept and embrace the entirety of that package. Hopefully, Jamal Murray, speedy recovery. Nobody deserves that, but he especially doesn't. We'll have more updates tomorrow, guys. Yeah. And again, you want to stay tuned to the to the DNVR. I'm so off it. The DNVR Nuggets podcast. What's wrong with me?
I don't know, man. I just feel like we got cheated on, frankly.
It's like I just called you
you called us
my side name. Piece's name.
Yeah,
like, oh my
you
god!
Looked us into the eyes. And
what is just
Debbie?
Who's?
Were you once in a relationship like that or something?
First time, to make it clear, I've never been in a relationship.
To the DNVR Nuggets podcast, which will be coming out tomorrow, probably won't be live. Although who knows? Maybe we'll call an audible and go live and do something there. But if you watch this as a YouTube show, guys, it's also a podcast. Especially on off days, you want to check that out. In fact, Thursday we will be going live with Vic Lombardi. Ooh. I think I can go ahead and tease that out. He's gonna be live here in studio. I can't
Uncle
wait
Vic,
for it.
man. I'm
Uncle
pumped.
Vic. Man.
I love Vic Lombardi.
We are Denver. Vic Lombardi is also Denver.
Vic Lombardi is.
He was Denver OG.
I've spent my whole life looking up to Vic Lombardi. I've only met him one time. I gave him stickers. He put them on his computer.
And then he took him off.
Then he took him off.
Yeah.
And then Jamal Murray got hurt. So see what happened.
True.
See what you did.
Guys, thanks for riding with us. We're gonna be back again. We'll see ya. Harris, you want to do the outro read as we close out here?
Yeah. Do we want to not?
Want me to stop recording?
Sure.
Well, I didn't know we were still live.